The planet stretched out like a vast desert under two pale suns. Jagged rocks jutted from the ground, casting long shadows across the barren landscape. Smoke rose in thin streams from distant explosions, and the air was heavy with the scent of scorched metal and dust. On the horizon, a small group of humans advanced cautiously, their suits and weapons glinting in the sunlight. They were explorers, warriors, and scientists, humans who had come from a distant world to study this alien land. Captain Kale led the group. His movements were calm, controlled, and precise. He scanned the horizon with sharp eyes, noting every ridge, every shadow, every flicker of movement. Beside him, Lieutenant Mara adjusted her helmet and whispered quietly, "Sir, sensors are picking up life forms ahead. Multiple, unknown species." Kale nodded, gripping his rifle. "Keep your distance. Observe. We do not provoke, unless necessary." His voice was steady, firm, and carried authority. He had led his team through countless dangerous missions across hostile worlds, and he trusted their skills, but he also knew the value of caution. From a high rock ledge nearby, Lyria watched them. She was a commander of the alien defenders, and to her, humans were chaos incarnate. Their weapons, their strange movements, their technology, it all seemed reckless. They tore across the land without thought, disrupting everything in their path. In her mind, they were nothing but beasts, destructive, dangerous, and unworthy of trust. "They are reckless," Lyria said to herself, her voice a hiss through the communicator in her armor. "They do not belong here. We must drive them out, before they destroy more of our world." She signaled to a small squad of her own, agile and deadly aliens trained to defend their territory. They moved silently over the rocks, their movements almost invisible to the human sensors. The plan was simple: scare the humans, force them back to their landing site, and show them that their presence would not be tolerated. The humans advanced steadily, scanning with their instruments. "Strange readings from the ground," Mara said, tapping her wrist console. "Some kind of energy spikes. Could be traps." Kale frowned. "Stay alert. Keep formation." His team spread slightly, careful not to bunch together. Every mission taught him that discipline was the strongest weapon a human could have. They were outsiders, yes, but they had learned to survive in worlds where every other life form considered them intruders. Suddenly, a rock slid from above, narrowly missing one of the human scouts. They turned instinctively, rifles raised. Then, from behind the jagged terrain, the aliens struck. Energy beams shot through the air with sharp, piercing light. Explosions rocked the ground, throwing dust and rock into the sky. The humans returned fire, but they were careful. Kyle knew this was no ordinary attack. It was a calculated strike meant to test them, not destroy. He shouted orders, guiding his team with precision. "Hold your line. Watch the flanks. Do not overextend." The clash lasted only moments, but the chaos was enough to show Lyria that the humans could fight back, that they were not easy prey. And yet, in her mind, they were still savage. They killed without hesitation. And in her eyes, that was proof of their beastly nature. But then it happened. A distant explosion shook the ground where she had been observing. One of the alien outposts, a structure carved from the living rock of the planet, began to crumble. Dust and stone rained down, and she realized with horror that she was too close to escape. Her squad moved quickly, but debris blocked their path. Panic rose in her chest. The humans were still firing, still advancing, and there was no safe place to hide. KL saw her immediately. From a distance, he recognized the alien commander, distinguished by her armor and the emblem she carried. She was trapped under falling debris, her squad retreating to save themselves. Without hesitation, he sprinted toward her. "Captain, no!" Mara shouted. "It's too dangerous." KL didn't respond. He didn't hesitate. Every instinct in his body told him that the life in danger needed saving, and humans did not leave others to die if there was a chance to save them. He dodged falling rocks, leaped over jagged terrain, and ignored the laser fire from alien marksmen. Lyria's eyes widened as she saw him. A human, reckless, brave, insane, running straight toward her as if death itself were a friend. Her first thought was disbelief. Why would they risk their life for an alien, an enemy? That made no sense. Humans were supposed to be beasts. Kale reached her just as the largest piece of debris fell. He grabbed her arm, pulling her free with a strength born of years of training and instinct. She stumbled into his chest, unsteady, and he steadied her. Behind them, the outpost collapsed completely, sending clouds of rock and dust into the sky. Breathing heavily, Lyria looked up at him. Kale kept his grip on her arm, scanning the surroundings for further danger. She stared at him, shock and confusion battling within her. Her mind could not reconcile the image of this human, not as a savage, not as a beast, but as someone who risked everything for her. Everything she had believed about humans was suddenly questioned, but pride would not let her speak gratitude yet. She freed herself, straightened her armor, and said coldly, "Do not think this changes anything. You are still a human, and humans are still beasts." Kale nodded, expecting no thanks. "I know, but even beasts can do good," he replied. As he guided her and her remaining squad away from the ruins, the humans and aliens maintained a tense truce. Neither trusted the other completely. Yet for the moment, survival demanded cooperation. And somewhere deep inside, Lyria felt a flicker of doubt about the truths she had held for so long. The sun dipped lower on the horizon, casting long shadows across the alien desert. Kale and his team led Lyria and her squad to a safer position, where both sides could catch their breath. The battle had been brief, but its consequences would echo far beyond the rocky hills. For the first time, Lyria saw humans not just as creatures of chaos, but as beings capable of courage, loyalty, and unexpected honor. Yet she could not admit it aloud. Not yet. And somewhere inside her, a question began to take root, a question she would not let anyone hear. Could it be that humans were more than beasts? The dust slowly settled, leaving the jagged landscape quiet, except for the distant crackle of alien weaponry and the hum of human scanners. Kale led Lyria and the few surviving members of her squad to a rocky ridge that offered some protection. The humans had learned quickly that the planet was alive with dangers beyond alien soldiers, shifting terrain, sudden fissures, and predatory creatures that could appear without warning. Lyria moved cautiously, still glaring at the humans, though her armor was scratched and her pride bruised. She kept her hands near her weapons, unsure whether to trust these creatures who had risked everything for her. She had been taught to see humans as violent, unpredictable, and destructive, but what she had just witnessed challenged every belief she had held. Kale scanned the horizon. "We need to find a safer place for the night," he said. "This ridge will give us cover, but we can't stay here long. There's more movement out there." He gestured to Mara and the rest of the team. "Prepare perimeter sensors and keep eyes on the valley below. Nothing gets past us." Mara nodded, quickly setting up small devices that emitted soft pulses of light. These sensors would detect movement, both organic and mechanical, and give them early warning of danger. The humans were careful, disciplined, and methodical, everything Lyria had once thought they were not. The aliens followed at a distance, tense and suspicious. Lyria could feel their fear mixed with curiosity. Her own feelings were equally conflicted. She could not deny that Kale had saved her life, but pride and duty made her refuse to show any gratitude. Instead, she observed him, noting the calmness in his eyes and the careful way he moved, always alert, but never reckless. As night began to fall, the alien sky shifted from gold to deep violet, with two moons rising slowly above the horizon. Strange plants with glowing tips dotted the rocky terrain, and the shadows grew long and mysterious. The temperature dropped quickly, and even the hardy aliens pulled their cloaks tighter. Kale gathered his team near a small fire that they had managed to start using a compact human device. The warmth was welcome, but the real comfort came from the small sense of order he created. Even in the middle of alien chaos, humans could make a place feel safe. Lyria watched silently. She did not sit near the fire. Instead, she perched on a rock above the group, her weapon resting across her knees. Her eyes scanned the dark horizon, searching for threats but also, unwillingly, observing the humans. They ate, talked quietly, and checked their gear with precision. They were alive, yes, but not like beasts. They were careful, alert, and disciplined. A small creature, the size of a dog with glowing eyes, appeared near the edge of the firelight. It sniffed cautiously, curious, but not hostile. One of Kale's scouts raised a hand, signaling no attack. The creature backed away slowly, disappearing into the shadows. Lyria's eyes followed it, and she realized the humans had not harmed it. They had the chance they could have, but they chose not to. Kale noticed her watching. "Do you see?" he asked gently. "Not every life here is a threat. Not every creature is your enemy." Lyria did not answer. She turned her gaze away, unwilling to show acknowledgement. But inside, a tiny seed of thought had taken root. Humans, these so-called beasts, were capable of restraint and respect. That was something her people did not always practice. The night deepened, and Kale called for a short rest. "Stay alert," he said. "We don't know what's out there, but rest will help us be ready." The humans settled quietly, their trust in Kale absolute, their discipline unbroken even in exhaustion. Lyria remained awake, thinking. The memory of her near death, of being lifted from certain death by a human, refused to leave her mind. It was not fear that held her awake, nor pain. It was a strange mixture of confusion and curiosity. She had been wrong about humans. They were not all chaos. Some of them, perhaps, were capable of something extraordinary. The silence was broken by a low growl. From the shadows of the valley, a massive creature emerged. Its body was armored with thick plates, and its eyes glowed faint red. It moved slowly but deliberately, sniffing the air, aware of every living being near it. Kale was immediately alert. "Everyone, back," he ordered calmly. The humans moved with practiced efficiency, forming a protective circle around the fire and the alien squad. Weapons were raised, energy pulses charged, and every eye scanned the dark. The creature paused at the edge of the firelight. It sniffed again, tilting its head as though it were studying them. Then, with a sudden roar, it charged. Rocks and dust flew into the air as it rushed forward. Kale stepped in front of the group, raising his weapon and shouting orders. "Hold your ground! Don't panic! Aim for the joints!" The humans fired coordinated pulses, aiming at the creature's vulnerable areas. The alien squad joined cautiously, using long-range attacks to distract it. The creature faltered, wounded but not defeated, and Kale knew they had to act quickly before it overran them. He signaled Mara, who understood instantly. She activated a small device that released a bright flash and a high-pitched sound. The creature recoiled. Disoriented, Kale took the moment to dash forward, using a rope to trip the creature and bring it crashing down. The team moved together, careful not to harm each other in the chaos. When the creature finally retreated into the darkness, breathing heavily and wounded, Lyria found herself staring at Kale again. He had risked himself not just once, but multiple times, standing in front of danger to protect both humans and aliens. She could not speak her thoughts aloud, not yet. Pride, stubbornness, and duty kept her silent. But she could no longer deny the truth. Humans were brave, disciplined, and capable of selfless acts. They were nothing like the mindless beasts she had believed them to be. Kale looked at her briefly, sensing her eyes, and offered a small nod before turning back to check the perimeter. He did not need her gratitude, and he did not expect it. To him, every life mattered, alien or human, because courage and honor were not limited to one species. The night passed without further incident. Stars twinkled above the alien landscape, and the two moons cast pale light over the humans and aliens. In the quiet, Lyria's thoughts remained restless. She replayed the events of the day, the attack, the collapse, the rescue, the teamwork against the creature. Each memory challenged her long-held beliefs about humans. By dawn, she had made a silent decision. She would observe, she would question, and perhaps she would learn. But she would not yet admit to herself the possibility that humans could be heroes, capable of compassion and bravery beyond what her species usually valued. Kale gathered his team and the alien squad to continue their journey across the rugged terrain. "We move carefully," he instructed. "We watch, we learn, we protect each other. That is how we survive." Lyria followed, her steps careful, her mind heavy with thoughts she could not voice. She had called humans beasts, but now she wondered whether the word beast fit at all. Perhaps some humans were something far greater, a lesson she was only beginning to understand. As they moved forward, the rising sun bathed the alien desert in gold and red light. For the first time, Lyria felt a glimmer of something unfamiliar. Curiosity mixed with respect. Fear mixed with awe. She did not know what the future held, but she knew one thing clearly. The humans beside her were more than she had ever imagined. The morning sun burned across the alien desert, turning the jagged rocks a deep shade of crimson. Kale led the humans and the alien squad, including Lyria, along a narrow canyon path. Dust swirled around their boots, and the wind carried strange, metallic scents from the rocky cliffs. Every step required care, as the terrain was unstable, and one wrong move could send a traveler tumbling into the deep, jagged ravine below. Lyria moved behind Kale, her eyes constantly scanning the cliffs. Despite her pride, she could not ignore the human's skill. They navigated the rough terrain with precision, using ropes, climbing gear, and careful judgment. She had watched soldiers from her own species stumble here, but humans moved with a surprising blend of caution and speed. Every step Kale took seemed measured, yet full of confidence. "Be careful," she warned, her voice sharp, hiding the admiration she could not yet express. "This canyon shifts easily. Rocks fall without warning." Kale glanced back at her, his calm expression never faltering. "We know," he said, "but we keep moving. Hesitation can be worse than danger." The canyon narrowed, forcing the group to walk in a single line. The humans led the way, using their scanners to detect unstable rock and hidden dangers. Lyria noticed that they did not just rely on their technology, they watched, they listened, and they adapted. Even when a small rock slide occurred, Kale moved instantly to shield the team, guiding them to safety. Lyria's opinion of humans shifted further. These were not beasts, they were warriors in every sense, careful yet courageous, disciplined yet flexible. Suddenly, a loud rumble echoed through the canyon. The ground shook beneath their feet, and a section of the cliffside collapsed, sending boulders crashing down. Kale shouted orders, and the humans moved like a single organism, stepping aside, pulling Lyria and her squad to safety. One large boulder blocked the path, too heavy to move. The humans quickly scanned the canyon walls for an alternate route, while Kale signaled to his team. "We need to climb," he said. "There's a ledge above that will get us over the debris." Lyria hesitated. She was not used to relying on humans, and climbing an alien terrain was risky. But she had no choice. Kale extended his hand, steady and calm. "Trust us," he said simply. Something in his voice made her pause. She studied his eyes and saw no arrogance, no recklessness, only confidence. and care. Slowly, she accepted his hand, and with careful steps, began to climb alongside the humans. The ledge was narrow, and one slip could mean a deadly fall. Yet Kale guided her patiently, offering advice, adjusting her balance, and ensuring she moved safely. When they finally reached the top, Lyria felt a strange mix of relief and respect. The humans had saved her again, not from enemies this time, but from the dangers of the planet itself. She realized that their bravery was not limited to combat. It extended to survival, to protecting life, even when it was inconvenient. As they continued through the canyon, strange alien creatures emerged. Some were small and curious, others large and territorial. Lyria noticed that the humans treated even the smaller creatures with care. They avoided unnecessary harm, observing before acting. Kale would often whisper commands, coordinating movements so that no one was exposed, and the creatures were either avoided or guided away without violence. "This is not how beasts behave," Lyria muttered under her breath, almost to herself. She did not want Kale to hear, yet the words tasted of truth. Hours passed, and the canyon eventually opened into a valley. Here, the landscape changed dramatically. Green vegetation had taken root in patches, and a small river flowed slowly through the rocks. The air felt fresher, cooler, almost welcoming after the harsh canyon. Kale set up a temporary camp near the river. "We rest here for a while," he said. "We need water and supplies before moving on." Lyria and her squad followed, observing quietly. She noticed that even during rest, the humans were disciplined. They cleaned their weapons, checked their gear, and maintained watches. Every action was precise, careful, and purposeful. While the humans prepared, a low alarm sounded from one of Kale's scanners. He immediately gestured for silence and crouched, scanning the valley. Lyria tensed. She had learned to rely on her instincts, but Kale's calm focus was different. He did not panic, did not shout. He simply analyzed, calculated, and acted. A group of alien scouts, clearly hostile, approached from the opposite side of the valley. They moved with intent, weapons raised, scanning for the humans. Kale quickly assessed the situation. "We hold position," he said. "No unnecessary attacks. Let them make the first move." Lyria's squad shifted nervously. She wanted to order them to attack, to show strength. But Kale's calm confidence forced her to pause. The humans, too, readied their defenses without aggression. The alien scouts hesitated, then stepped forward. Kale moved to the front, standing tall and unyielding. His presence alone seemed to radiate control and courage. The scouts fired a few warning shots, and Kale signaled his team to aim carefully, not recklessly. The humans' precision and restraint impressed Lyria. When the scouts finally retreated, recognizing that the humans were not easy prey, Lyria felt something shift inside her. The humans had won without unnecessary violence, without panic or chaos. Their bravery was quiet, disciplined, and effective. Later, around the small fire Kale built near the river, Lyria spoke quietly to herself. Perhaps they are not what I thought." She did not say it aloud to anyone. Pride and the memory of her people's teachings made her hesitate. Yet the seed of doubt had grown into something more: a curiosity, a willingness to see humans differently. Kale noticed her glancing at him occasionally, though she did not approach. He did not comment, knowing she needed space to process. To him, actions spoke louder than words. His actions had saved her, protected her, and shown her that humans could be honorable even in a world of danger. As night fell, the valley glowed under twin moons. The river reflected their light, creating a soft shimmer that illuminated the camp. Lyria could not sleep. She walked a short distance from the fire, observing the humans tending to their tasks. Even when tired, they remained disciplined, alert, and careful. She began to understand something she had never considered before. Humans were not mindless beasts. They were capable of courage, intelligence, and selflessness. Her thoughts were interrupted by a small cry from the riverbank. KL noticed immediately and moved toward it. A young alien creature had fallen into the water, struggling against the current. Without hesitation, KL waded in and lifted it to safety. Lyria watched, stunned. He had not hesitated to risk himself for another life, no matter how small or alien. That night, Lyria lay awake, staring at the moons. She could no longer dismiss humans as simple beasts. They were strange, unpredictable, and powerful in ways her species did not always understand. She did not yet trust them completely, but the respect she felt was growing. By dawn, she knew one truth: humans were different. They were brave, careful, and capable of heroism that extended beyond battle. She had called them beasts. But perhaps the word had been wrong all along. Perhaps they were something far greater, a force for survival, honor, and courage, in a universe that demanded strength and wisdom. As the sun rose, casting golden light over the valley, Kale gathered his team. Lyria followed silently, ready to continue the journey. She did not yet speak her thoughts aloud. But she knew she would watch, learn, and perhaps, in time, understand the full measure of what humans could be. The journey continued, across alien terrain that tested their strength, courage, and intelligence. And in the quiet moments between danger and survival, Lyria's heart and mind were changing. She had once called humans beasts. Now, she was beginning to see them as heroes. The valley grew tense as the humans and Lyria's squad continued their journey. Rumors of an approaching alien faction had reached Kale's scanners, and he knew the next challenge would not be simple. These were not scouts or small patrols, they were warriors, well-trained and well-armed, intent on claiming the valley for themselves. Kale gathered both humans and aliens near a rocky outcrop to plan. Lyria stood slightly apart, observing him. Her mind was alive with conflicting thoughts. She had witnessed humans in action multiple times, rescue, survival, and defense, but what they were about to face was far larger, more dangerous. She realized the humans' courage was not just in small acts. It was a constant, steady force, ready to face overwhelming odds. "We need a plan," Kale said calmly, spreading a simple holographic map of the valley. "The enemy will likely strike from the north ridge. We hold the high ground and use the terrain to our advantage. Mara, you and the scouts take the left flank. Lyria, your squad holds the right. We coordinate with signals. No unnecessary risks, but be ready to protect civilians or each other." Lyria stiffened. Her species valued strength and pride, often fighting without planning. Yet here were humans, leading carefully, protecting every life, even those of aliens. She could not deny that the methodical preparation impressed her. Kale was not reckless. Yet, he was bold. Hours passed, and the tension in the valley grew. Strange alien cries echoed from the ridges, and the ground trembled with heavy footsteps. Kale's team remained ready, adjusting positions, setting traps, and scanning for enemy movements. Lyria observed them, her admiration growing silently. Finally, the enemy appeared. A wave of armored warriors advanced down the northern ridge, weapons glowing and energy shields flickering. They were fast, coordinated, and deadly. Lyria's first instinct was to charge, but KL held his ground. "Hold!" he commanded. His voice carried authority without anger. "Wait for my signal." The enemy fired first, sending bursts of energy that ricocheted off rocks and shields. The humans returned fire with precision, targeting weak points. slowing the advance without reckless aggression. Lyria's squad followed suit, hesitating only because they had not worked with humans this way before. Then Kale acted. Using a flare of light and a sharp signal, he coordinated an ambush. Humans moved silently along hidden paths, cutting off the enemy's retreat and creating traps with rocks and energy nets. Lyria could hardly believe what she saw. The humans were not only brave, they were smart. They used intelligence as a weapon, and every move was designed to protect their people and hers. The battle intensified. The enemy pressed forward, striking fiercely at the humans' positions. Kale moved among his team, shielding weaker members, giving quick commands, and risking himself to save others. At one point, an enemy warrior broke through the flank and charged directly at Lyria. Before she could react, Kale intercepted, deflecting the attack with precise skill and standing between her and the threat. Lyria's heart raced. She had seen humans save lives before, but never like this: fearless, deliberate, and selfless. Kale's courage was not reckless. It was disciplined and focused. She felt a surge of respect, and for the first time, she hesitated to think of humans as mere beasts. The battle raged for hours. Dust and energy flashes filled the valley. Rocks tumbled from cliffs as explosions shook the ground. Yet Kale's calm voice carried over it all, guiding, commanding, and protecting. The humans moved as one unit, each knowing their role, each trusting the others completely. Lyria's squad learned quickly, adapting to the humans' rhythm. Then, a massive enemy warrior broke through the center line, targeting civilians hiding near the riverbank. Kale noticed immediately. Without hesitation, he ran straight into the path of danger. Lyria shouted for him to stop, but he did not hesitate. Bullets and energy blasts struck around him, but he pressed on, pulling a young alien from harm and rolling out of the enemy's path just in time. Lyria froze, staring. The human had risked his life again, this time for someone she had no personal connection with. His courage and selflessness transcended species, and she realized the human's bravery was something more than instinct. It was honor. The tide of battle shifted. The enemy began to retreat, confused and disoriented by the human's tactics and precision. Kale pressed forward carefully, ensuring no one was left behind. By the time the last enemy had fled, the valley was quiet, littered with scorched ground and spent energy. But both humans and aliens survived. Lyria finally approached Kale. She did not speak immediately, her chest still heaving from the adrenaline. Her eyes, however, held something she had never shown: admiration. You are different," she said quietly. Kale looked at her without pride or arrogance. "We are not perfect," he said, "but we protect life. We honor courage. That is who we are." Lyria swallowed hard. Her pride made her hesitate to speak, yet she could not ignore the truth. "I called humans beasts," she admitted, her voice low. "I was wrong. You risk everything for others. Even for me." Kale nodded. "And I would do it again. Because courage and honor are not limited to one species." For the first time, Lyria smiled a small, hesitant expression that carried gratitude and respect. She realized that humans had qualities her people often lacked: patience, strategy, and selfless bravery. They were unpredictable, yes, but in the best ways. They were capable of heroism that transcended war and survival. The humans began tending to their wounded and securing the area. Lyria's squad joined, no longer hesitant, trusting Kale's leadership. Together, they worked to protect the valley and ensure no other threat would surprise them. The teamwork was seamless, and Lyria could not help but marvel at the human's ability to lead without arrogance, to act without recklessness, and to inspire loyalty even from former enemies. As night fell, the valley glowed with the light of twin moons reflecting off the river. The humans set up a secure perimeter, their efficiency unmatched. Lyria walked beside Kale quietly. She did not speak much. But the silence was comfortable, filled with shared understanding. She had learned more in one day than she had in years about humans, and she knew that respect, once earned, could change the course of perception forever. Kale noticed her walking silently and offered a small nod. "You did well," he said simply. Lyria paused. She had never heard a human speak words of respect to an alien like her. Kale smiled faintly. "We all do what we must. That is the honor of survival." The night passed peacefully. Lyria remained awake for a while, gazing at the moons, reflecting on the day's events. She had called humans beasts, but that was no longer possible. They were warriors, heroes, and protectors. Beings capable of courage, loyalty, and honor, beyond what she had imagined. By dawn, Lyria knew the world had shifted for her. Humans were no longer an enemy to fear, they were allies to respect. And she would follow Kale and his team, not because she had to, but because she had learned that humans were capable of greatness, bravery, and selfless acts that could inspire even the most proud of alien warriors. The journey would continue, but now Lyria's heart and mind were ready to see humans not as beasts, but as heroes worthy of admiration, and perhaps even friendship. The valley was quiet at first light. Smoke from the previous day's battle had cleared, leaving the rocks and river shining in the soft glow of dawn. Kale and his human team moved carefully, inspecting the terrain for lingering dangers and helping Lyria's squad check their equipment. Both sides had survived, but the scars of conflict remained visible: the burned ground, broken rocks, and abandoned alien weaponry. Lyria walked beside Kale, her steps measured. For the first time, she felt more curiosity than pride. The humans had shown her courage, strategy, and honor qualities her people had rarely witnessed outside their own species. She could no longer deny that they were something extraordinary. She had once called humans beasts, but that word now felt small, almost meaningless. Kale noticed her quiet demeanor. "We should help rebuild," he said. "There are survivors who need shelter and food. We can't leave them to fend for themselves." Lyria's squad exchanged glances. Pride and custom often kept her people from relying on outsiders, but she realized that the humans' way of doing things, cooperation, patience, and selfless effort, could make a difference here. Slowly, she nodded. "You are right. We will help." Together, humans and aliens began organizing the valley. Kale assigned tasks efficiently, and the humans worked alongside Lyria's people to rebuild temporary shelters, carry water, and repair damaged equipment. The alien warriors were cautious at first, unsure how to work with humans, but Kale's calm guidance and the humans' respect for alien customs encouraged them. Even the youngest aliens began helping, inspired by the humans' patience and dedication. Lyria watched as Kale guided a group in moving heavy debris. He lifted pieces that seemed impossible, encouraged others, and made sure no one was hurt. She could not help but admire him. His strength was not only physical but moral. He led without arrogance, cared without expectation, and acted without hesitation when others were in danger. Hours passed, and a sense of calm replaced the tension. The valley, though still scarred, began to feel alive again. The river flowed freely, the wind carried fresh scents, and the cooperation between humans and aliens created a rhythm of hope. Lyria realized she had never seen her people work with such harmony. Humans did not demand respect, they earned it through action. Later, Kale approached her as she helped organize supplies. "You've done well," he said. "Your people are strong and capable. They just needed direction." Lyria hesitated. Her pride made it difficult to accept praise, but she nodded. "Your people, they are more than I imagined. Humans, You are not beasts. You are heroes. Kael smiled faintly. We do what we must. Courage and honor are what guide us. Nothing more. Lyria's eyes softened. She had seen humans risk their lives for strangers, lead without arrogance, and fight with strategy and restraint. Her worldview had changed completely. The humans were not only survivors, they were protectors, leaders, and heroes who could inspire even the most skeptical alien hearts. As the day wore on, the survivors shared food and water, and both humans and aliens began exchanging stories. Lyria listened quietly, fascinated by the humans' tales of distant worlds, battles fought, and lives saved. They spoke not with boastfulness, but with humility, emphasizing teamwork and courage. She realized that heroism was not about domination or strength alone. It was about selflessness, discipline, and protecting others, no matter the species. Kael noticed her watching. Do you see? He asked. Courage isn't just about fighting. It's about caring, teaching, and protecting. That is how heroes are made. Lyria nodded slowly. I see it now. I was blind before. I called humans beasts because I did not understand. But you have shown me what it means to be brave and what it means to value life. Kael placed a hand on her shoulder, firm but gentle. We all have the choice to protect life. That is the measure of strength, not just weapons or armor. The sun began to set, casting golden and crimson light across the valley. The wind carried the scent of repaired earth and fresh water. Lyria stood at the edge of the river, looking at the humans working with her people. She felt a deep sense of respect and something she had never felt before. Hope. Hope that humans and her people could coexist, learn from each other, and build something greater than either could alone. That evening, Kael and Lyria stood together on a small rise, overlooking the valley. The humans had set up camp, and her people were settling in, working side by side. The unity was fragile but promising. Lyria spoke quietly, almost to herself. Perhaps humans are not only brave, perhaps they are what my people could be, if we had more understanding, more courage, and more honor. Kael glanced at her, sensing the weight of her words. And you will lead them? He asked. Lyria nodded. I will. I will teach them what I have learned. That courage is not just strength, but compassion. That honor is in protecting others, even if they are different from you. Kael smiled. Then your people have a strong leader, and your world has a chance to see what humans can inspire. For the first time, Lyria allowed herself to smile fully, without hesitation. She felt gratitude, admiration, and respect not just for Kael, but for all humans who had shown her the depth of courage and selflessness. They had risked their lives for strangers, led with intelligence and care, and inspired loyalty and trust even from those who once called them beasts. The night deepened, and the stars shone brightly above the valley. The twin moons reflected in the river, casting shimmering light over the humans and aliens working together. Lyria felt a profound sense of change within herself. She had called humans beasts, but that word was now meaningless. Humans were heroes, capable of acts that transcended fear, pride, and species. The next morning, the humans prepared to continue their journey across the planet. Lyria and her squad approached Kael. Your people have changed the way my people see the universe, she said. I will not forget this. I will not forget you. Kael nodded. And we will not forget you. Courage, honor, and life are worth protecting everywhere we go. Lyria stepped back, watching the humans depart. Her people began to rebuild the valley fully, inspired by the humans' example. Cooperation, patience, and courage became their new tools, alongside strength and weapons. The lesson was clear. Humans were not to be feared or underestimated. They were a force of courage and inspiration. As Kale and his team disappeared over the horizon, Lyria looked at the valley, now alive with hope and cooperation. She had learned the ultimate truth. Humans were heroes. They were brave, disciplined, honorable, and capable of inspiring even the proudest alien heart. She had called them beasts once. But now, with every act of courage, every selfless decision, they had proven otherwise. The planet was still dangerous, and the future uncertain. But for the first time, Lyria believed in something greater, a future where humans and aliens could work together, respect each other, and build a stronger world. She had witnessed heroism, and she knew that humans had earned their place not just in survival, but in her respect, admiration, and trust. The story of courage, sacrifice, and understanding would continue. But one truth remained clear. The humans were heroes, and they had changed the heart of a proud alien warrior forever.